Support for 100 Watts and a Wire is brought to you by 100wattsandawire.com. To subscribe to the show, simply click the RSS feed or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. When you visit, apply for your free 100 Watts ID and learn how you can become a sustaining member. Click the donate page and pick the option that works best for you. We've got a traveling toolkit, 100 Watts and a Wire gear, and activity days with prizes. That's 100wattsandawire.com. And ICOM. Get out and get active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. And LDG. LDG automatic tuners are built with industrial quality components for safety, durability, and long life. LDG microprocessors run state-of-the-art matching firmware to find a match in seconds. For more information, visit ldgelectronics.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
All right, welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. It's Christian. My call sign is K0STH, along with Steve W7UDI. And we have some questions from last week's coax. And we can get to those. Just a couple of things, but we'll take your questions, all, in the chat as well about connectors. We've been talking about connectors this week. Let's go over and see what we can answer about coax from last week. There's a question that came in. See if I can bring it up here. Kenneth, November 4 Victor Kilo Foxtrot. I've heard that RG174 is good for small runs and QRP. Any suggestions on where to buy? Steve did a little bit of research. Would you turn up, Steve?
ABR Industries are our coax guys, and they sell it. And that's I looked them up. They sell basically two versions of it. They sell the standard RG174. They call it ABR 100. So it's basically the same thing. It's a just like RG174. The nice thing about it, when you get it from them, you can buy the bulk cable by itself and put on your own connectors. Or if you don't have the tools to put on the connectors, you can go through their cable builder and specify what connectors you want on it, whether it's if you're using a QRP application, most likely you need some BNC connectors on it. You can do it from that way. But look into ABR. And I think DX Engineering sells RG174. I don't know if they do connectors or anything like that, but I'd go look at ABR and they can get you all set up.
All right, good deal there. We got another question. There was some comments here. I can see why some of the shows have somebody producing in the chat room. There's a lot of commentary going on there, a lot of good questions I don't want to miss, so I'm just sifting through. Another question from last week when we discussed coax. Don, Kilo Bravo 2 Yankee Sierra, India, multiple runs of coax or a remote switch. I have no entrance panel and am using a through window jumper. Multiple coax runs would mean more window pass-throughs. For me, Steve's got a nice system as well. My system, I do have a pass-through coming into the shack. I picked it up at MFJ. They've got them different sizes. They'll send you a large board. You cut it to size for your window. That works for me. I've got one line of coax, 213 runs from my shack out to my switcher. And then the switcher has a receiver and a transmitter, I guess you would call it, switch. It's back in here. And so I've got a multi-switch box out. It's another, it's a Meritron, which I like a lot. It's not failed me. I say that now, and I'll probably next week's show starring this damn thing. No, but it's been solid for 5 years being on HF, and Steve knows me long enough where I went from a 2 position to a 4 position to maybe a 5, and now up to an 8 position up in these trees here. And then from the switcher, I go out is how I do it. Steve's got a different way. I don't know if that helps, but that's just how I do it, Don. Steve, you want to comment on Don's question?
Yeah, that one I have to really kind of think about it. And it's so as you mentioned, MFJ has the pass-through, the window pass-through, which kind of is just a filler block that goes through. And that's, an option there. And that becomes, it has its challenges. And I start thinking about, living in the northern latitudes here, we got to deal with cold. And so insulation and having that little piece of metal there, or aluminum, whatever it is, and then, the pass-throughs, that could be an issue, weatherproofing, or kind of keeping the heat in and the cold out. So there's that. Other people, they don't want to put holes through the walls like I did. I just punched a couple of conduits through the side of the shop here. And but at the house, it was like, when I had a run out through the house, I punched a hole underneath the deck and went into a crawl space to get cable out. But that meant drilling a hole and things and like that. And people, don't want to do that. They could be renting a house. And but also there's soffits. In your soffits, MFJ makes a panel that can go there, and that's another option. But then I started thinking about the question asked about multiple lines or switcher, and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe go through a switcher just on the outside, and or bring all your feed lines to the house there if you want to do that. And in your case, Christian, yours just happens to be out in the field, not by the house. So I started thinking, it's like, well, which way to go? And Chuck from ABR kind of replied back, and it was like, that's a good idea. So there's this Teflon cable, and we'll just bring up this screen again. And it's RG 316. They call it ABR 316. It's about the size of RG 174. So this guy is about 1/10 of an inch in diameter. But what's good about it is, look at the power rating. It's a pretty solid cable. It's a great power rating, good for
what's
kilowatt.
The rating?
1.09 kilowatts at 30 megs. So it'll do a kilowatt.
Okay.
So what's good about it is that you go back to the cable builder, you can make a custom length cable that will plug into your radio or your switcher, and then have another one that goes right to your switch box, your outside switch box. So, and then, it could be maybe a 25-foot run or a 15-foot run. You just, whatever length you need. Now you're dealing with a pretty small cable, and you might be able to get it through the window or have minimal penetration. So there you have a lot of options, and there's so many different styles of windows. It's hard to kind of to get that down. Now there's one other option. And this is I discovered this. Oops, I got to go over to this screen here. This is made by Comet, and HRO sells it along with DX Engineering. It's $55 for this little thing, but it's a ribbon that it's a window pass through. I just happened to come across and was like, holy smokes, look at that. Kind of cool concept. But the kicker here is you go down to here, and this guy is right here, is rated for 100 watts PEP. So it's on HF, 40 watts, or that was it 40? No, 60 watts on VHF and 40 watts on UHF. Pretty inefficient, and it's just, but it's something that might help get you through. It's it's one way to get your RF from inside the house outside without doing anything to your house. And I know there's the XYL or significant other factor that we have to overcome, and when we're putting in our stations. So there are options out there to get your coax from inside out, and it just depends on which route you're going to take.
All right, that's we had a question in the chat here. If I can find it, I don't know the answer to this one, David. Physics: why are N connectors best for 1.2 gig and above? That's something I don't know. I would be texting Steve. Do you know anything about that, Steve?
Because it has a better. Oh, here's my cable. It has a better impedance. There's no impedance bumps. It's actually designed for higher frequencies. So let me. Here we have 2 two connectors. Well, they call this the UHF connector. And really, it's not very good above 250 megahertz. When this connector was designed, it was designed many, many years ago. And it, UHF was, basically 2 meters back in the 40s. So this connector, you look at this length of the center pin and the construction of it, it's close to 1.2 gig. The wavelength is really, really small. So on an end connector, along with the BNC, let me get this in.
I'll bring you full screen.
So there is the center pin, and then this is going to be tough. There's a center pin, and then there's like this little shield that's kind of in here. But when you look at it with test equipment and you're sweeping it, you don't see an impedance bump. And an impedance bump basically is VSWR at that point. So the signal characteristic, this connector it's almost invisible, especially at 1.2 gig. This connector, the UHF connector, you'll see, you'll get some loss through here, and it will disrupt basically the RF. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but in the more technical terms, you're going to have a big impedance bump with a UHF connector versus an N connector. These connectors are designed more for higher frequencies, and they're just a much better connector, especially at high frequencies versus the popular UHF connector, or PL259.
All right. Good to know there. Thank you, Steve, for that. Your questions are welcome. You can send them, as some of those folks have done, through email. Just email us through the website if you want. And some folks will say, I'm good on QRZ. But Steve, now what I want to talk about is something that was announced yesterday. And it is sponsored by LDG. LDG wants to help our show. They're friends of ours. They've been with us for at least a couple of years now, and they're from my homeland in Maryland. It's a family-run company and owned. And so they're like, you know what? We should just give away an antenna every week for the next 12 weeks. I'm like, see you later. Done. And then I'm talking to Steve. I'm like, oh, should we do this? But what we're going to do is we're going to do it as folks, and I encourage you all to, we love the audio listeners. That has really been the foundation of what we do. This is now adding a camera. It's the same show everybody listens to when they listen to it. But the benefit of seeing things is great for YouTube. I want to encourage you to subscribe not only to the audio podcast, but also to the YouTube channel. And a special benefit for those who join us in the live streams on Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. This has been a good pocket for us. I may add something on Sunday evenings right before the net as we go. But for this purpose, we're going to give away an antenna every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, for a person who is in the live chat. Here's how we'll do this. And this is how we've always done random drawings. I've got two young children, 6 and 10. They are also known as the boss of me. I told my boss at work, you think you're the boss? Forget it. Forget it.
You don't know my place.
You don't know. You don't know. Okay. So anyway, what happens is when we do our activities, any sort of giveaway with the show that's related, tune-up or fallout, those sort of operating events, all the names that are submitted go to a form. They're all listed out. Each one gets a number, and my kids pick random. So they don't know you from anything else. They don't know you or the number. It's just a number is assigned, you win. So what we're going to do, we're going to give away a dipole antenna. And I think this is a kit, really cool kit. It's cut for 40. It's going to be a little longer than 40, so you can tune it for where you are. This is just cool. To me, this is really cool. Yep, you can build your own. We're going to give you the kit to get started. You can cut it for 40. You could cut it for 20. You could cut it for 10. You can go down from or up from 40. In the package, I don't have the material with me, but I know you're going to get a balun You'll get the balun, you'll get the center insulator, you'll get 2 insulators for the ends. Am I missing anything in that package, Steve?
Oh, I got to look at it.
I mean, that's what a dipole is. So
it's basically, you got your center balun and then the wires and then insulators on the end. And all you got to do is supply your coax after you, build it and cut it. And if you want to make it for 20,
I got it here.
Say,
okay.
Fold it over. And
so they're going to give you 70 feet of wire.
Nice.
You get the center insulator, the 2 end insulators, and you get the 1-to-1 balun. Right. You just put your coax with it. Now, if you guys have a ton of stuff, cool. Maybe there's a newer ham out there who's studying for their general. But anybody can play this game. But I would say let's do this in the chat. If you're here live with us, this is kind of how we're going to run this one. Here's how we'll do it. Really easy. The winner will be picked by my children, and we'll announce it next Saturday, 10 o'clock. All you have to do if you want to participate now is put your call sign in the chat. Just do one time, please. That way, because I'm going to transpose these on short pieces of paper and ultimately in front of the kids. Put your call sign in the chat now, and we'll pick you. It doesn't matter if you've got a dipole. Maybe you know somebody, you win this and give it away. It's all good. Everybody's welcome. Probably in the U.S., Ed would get me on this one. He'd say, you're going to be shipping out to the U.K. or somewhere else.
Or Germany.
Germany. So maybe people who are living in the continental U.S. Should go ahead. And that's what we'll do. We'll do that for the next 12 weeks. And next Saturday, we'll pick the winner from this week's entries. Just your call signs. Go ahead and throw them up in there. We'll write them down, and the girls will pick. Thank you to LDG for caring and giving us away some good antennas. I want to talk about projects. I talked about 160. Steve showed us some really crazy phallic machine that lifts you up to deal with big things up in the air. And I'm like, what is that? I just want to go. I want to get in my truck and drive to where you are to see what you're doing there. My project right now is, finding some people to talk to on 160. Well, first of all, I hear the guys on at night. They're there, the same crew of people. I've got a pretty good antenna and a good situation. Now I want to talk to you guys. I want you guys to get up there. Steve is working on a project up on this tower. You talked a little bit about it, but 160 is on the way. How are you going to get there? What's on your project first? And after we compile some call signs, I'm going to ask you guys what you're working on too. Steve, tell us what your next project is.
Well, we're going to do the beam change out. So the TH6 is coming down, and the M squared KT36 is going in its place. So we're going to basically start at the top of the tower and work our way down. Part of the work in the antenna is going to be, I'm putting up a new antenna. I'm going to be putting up a new feed line, and this time I'm going to feed it with half-inch heliax or hard line. So it is LDF4, which is a half-inch hard line. I got a chunk of it here, and this is just a jumper, so it's pretty stiff cable. So it's going to go up towards the top, and then I'll have a jumper, 213 jumper for the rotor loop, and then I'm going to experiment with. Do you see this little piece of rope? This is just some rope, but this it's just a really thin version. Well, I tied it as a pressic, and so I'm going to use this to support the cable. So I've been experimenting with it. I've done it with the 75-meter antenna. Right now I have that. The coax is supported, and I got a little tension on it, and I got a little loop, and I'll take some pictures of it when I get up on top. And so basically I've taken the strain off the connector. And so I'm just going to see how well that works out. And then if that rope, that little rope fails, then the connector will pick up the load. But trying to figure out some different ways of strain relief, something that's really easy for us to do. I know we want to be frugal about it. Yeah, I could go get a hoisting sock and everything and go that route. But let's try something that we all can do, and it's really simple, and hopefully it'll last a few years. So I got that. So once the beam and the feed line is in place, the old beam feed line is going to be my 160 feed line. We'll test it out, make sure it's fine, and then I got to throw up another cross arm. So I currently have a one cross arm up at about 75-foot level, and being a tower climber, I don't want to climb. I have pulleys and ropes, and so I'm going to set that same setup up, and that way I can just hoist the antenna up, and if need be, I just hoist it back down and go from there. I don't have to leave the ground. And so we'll add another setup for there, and then the 160 antenna will go in its place. So yeah, looking forward to getting on 160. It's been a long time since I've been on there.
That's great. And you'll do all that work this afternoon. As soon as we unplug, you'll be done and on the air tonight on 160. That's our goal.
No, it's our weekend, but I'll get all I got to get all the support stuff done, and then hopefully next weekend I'll have the 160 antenna built. So I'm going to build a double bazooka, another one, and we'll give that a try. Cut it for 1.9 megs, and we'll go from there.
I want to give people a little more time to put their call sign in the chat to win a dipole antenna. You could win it and give it away. Even if you don't need it, go ahead and win it. Think about somebody who you may be able to work with and help them build this antenna. Maybe it's a new general or somebody who's just learning how to do it. A dipole antenna is really, it's something great to have. If you need it, win it, use it, hang it. I'd love to see how you're doing, maybe even watch you build it. But if you don't need one, give it away. Give it away to somebody else. We're going to pause here, take a break. And when we come back, I've got another project that's sort of back behind in my queue. We can talk about that. But I want to give you another little bit of time to put your call sign in the chat. Then we're going to share some of your projects. So start to think about things you're working on, and we'll talk about all that next. You're listening and watching 100 Watts and a Wire.
QRO to the people. This is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Desktop tuners are one of the most popular ham radio accessories. LDG has just come out with the Z100A desktop tuner, and it works with all modern HF radios like ICOM, Yaesu, Alinco, Kenwood, and more. The Z100A has LDG's famous 10-to-1 SWR tuning range that matches dipoles, verticals, end-fed long wires, G5RVs, or even an off-center fed Wyndham. Easy integration means plug-and-play operation. Installation could not be simpler. The Z100A's tuner goes everywhere with your HF radio. Desktop, portable, parks, islands, or tall summits. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing advanced quality products to the amateur market. Our focus is anticipating our customers' needs and providing them with world-class support. Don't forget, LDG products carry a full 2-year, fully transferable warranty. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. LDG Electronics, everywhere you look, there's an LDG.
When in doubt, hang 'em high. This is 100 Watts and a Wire.
All righty. Welcome back. Now it's time to find out what you're working on. If you want to go ahead and put on some of the things you're working on this weekend, we can talk about that. We enjoy sharing what you're working on as much as what we're up to. This is not a one-way conversation. This is another beautiful thing about doing this show and this platform here is that you can join us. And I'm curious. Steve's curious. Maybe we can help and we can talk about that. But what are you working on? I know it's getting colder, but this is the time where you get the sprinkles of some really nice days. We'll probably get the 48 today. Tonight, though, tomorrow, no, I think today we're getting up to the mid-50s or something like that. Tomorrow, we'll have a 48-degree day, and then at night we go down to 28. So it's serious business beginning tomorrow night. And I've got some wood splitting on my plan during my quarantine. I mean, just during the breaks, it's literally 14 minutes and 30 seconds. I run back in and start working for the business again. But during my 2 breaks and my lunch break, the audio listeners won't see my big winks.
You're splitting a cord of wood.
And we're going to split some wood this week because we go back up. So this is a time, in other words, where you get those days sprinkled in between to do the things you need. I've done some rope changes. I changed out the 160 rope. And why did I have to do that? Well, sure, maybe you're thinking about, well, maybe the tree grew up around the rope. That's a great thing. I don't have pulleys up at 60 feet. I can't climb that tree and get out on that limb like that. But so my rope goes over. And so where I had it tied off, I've moved it and I've raised it 10 feet. This was something we didn't get to talk about. So meanwhile, I'm using the same rope. I didn't have my rope quite yet. I had to order a little bit more rope for this. I had one of these numbers where I'm digging and reaching behind because I needed to tie another rope to this because it was 10 feet taller than it was before. And I couldn't let this go or I'd lose it all. So I ordered up some rope. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like, and I did this before, and that's why I don't like it, multiple ropes. I learned the figure 8 rope from Steve, and it's my go-to knot. I know other ones too, but when I've got rope together and I need to bring it down, I've got that line over that tree just enough to get to the tie spot and about 18 inches more, and then I cut it. And then when I want to bring it down, I tie a second rope to it, this sort of deal.
That's what I do too.
I don't like having piecemealed rope. And I know maybe if you have to do it, and I had to do it this day because I was up here. I was literally like, dude, please don't lose this rope. Please don't. It took me a while to get this thing over here. I was like, oh, me may never get it again. I was like, no pressure. My hands, my arthritis. I'm like, this is Murphy's Law. I'm going to lose. And I'm like, something's wrong. And I ended up doing it, and I changed the rope a couple of days later. I went to DX Engineering. They sent me the Mastrand. I like that rope too, different sizes.
Oh, I love that stuff.
For my center, to hold my center piece up, for sure. But anyway, that's what I worked on, and I don't like multiple pieces of rope holding my antenna up. I really don't even like it on holding the ends out. But I have done it, and there's at least one end out there like that. It's just a mental thing for me. I like one solid rope, one failure point. I know what it did. I know, anywho, that's what I've been working on. And I know Steve's been getting a lot of supplies together. Let's see what you guys are working on. This is where I need that producer in there to tell us what we're doing. Thank you for putting your call signs in there. I appreciate that. We're going to pick a winner here. Let me take that off of the screen. What's Tyler saying? Tyler, come on in here. Stop this, you weird PC. Okay, sweet. KJ7MFJ, thanks for the Saturday morning show. One of the few lives that I'm able to watch on my schedule. And happy Halloween. Thank you. Paul saying he's still trying to shovel stuff. I've been drinking this great.
Oh, that quad, yeah.
That Bailey. He's working on the 2-meter quad heliax with satellites. Okay. Impedance at 50% of what it should be. Okay, so he's working on that. A lot of big movement now to move toward the satellite, Steve. I haven't been bitten by that bug quite. I get it. I totally get it.
Paul, how are you splitting that? Those antennas? Are you using the phasing harness? That's I think, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head. It might be a quarter wave legs with 75 ohm. And then comes to a T, and maybe that might be the issue with the impedance that's kind of messing you up. I'll have to let me research that. We'll chat. Email me. You know my email.
David says he's putting up his inverted L. If I have it lower to the ground, it will work better for NVIS like a dipole. Oh, it's a question. I love doing NVIS, and some may argue that almost every antenna we work with is NVIS, depending on the band. You may not be able to have that antenna up as high as you want. I did quite a bit of study this summer with NVIS at 25 feet on HF bands. I'm just super curious about that, and I'm also curious about simplex, studying that in the same way. And many people say, see, child, why are you worrying about NVIS and for MCOM? I like studying the backup to the backbone. It's just me. I love HF, and I know it can be fickle based on propagation, but NVIS characteristics at 25 feet, I enjoyed studying them. So I don't know. Good old timer told me, I think he turned 80 earlier this month. K9EID told me, just put the thing up. So I will pass that on to you, David.
But my answer to that is, why not? Give it a try. See what you learn out of it, and go for it. And yeah, give it a try and see what happens. I mean, you got nothing to lose other than some time, and go from there. But I would say, yeah, I haven't thought about a long wire in an NVIS configuration, because we always talk about dipoles, and maybe try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Alan says he's Alpha Bravo 8 Alpha Sierra. He's shopping for an HF rig. Also, hopefully build a 40-meter dipole soon, 100 watts and wire. Wow, we just happen to be giving one away, Alan. And for the next 12 weeks, we're going to give away a variety of different antennas, so that'll be cool.
And Alan, look at that 7300. You get a lot of bang for the buck.
That's, sure do. Paul's also building a 80 and 160 matching network for his 43-foot vertical. Let's see what Rosa. She's working on a 705 antenna connections, and a dipole antenna might come in handy. I see you, girl. I see you. Let's see who else is working on some things here. Ed says late autumn, ideal to get busy on antenna work. That's right. That's right. I mean, there is a joke in there with the best time to do antenna work is when it's freezing and cold out, but I think it helps everything go better. I like it because you can see the leaves come down. Of course, Steve's working with the tower. You know, with trees, I see dead wood. I know what's coming. I see more possibilities when the leaves start to hit the ground. He's testing his SOTA VP2E, vertically polarized 2-element directional portable wire antenna. Okay, cool.
Dang, nice.
Very cool. All right, that's the thing. He's one of the serious guys out there. Let's see what Raymond's up to today. Trying to build a 2-meter, 70 centimeter dual band. I think that's supposed to be first try. Okay, good luck with that, Raymond. Let us know next week how that goes.
What are you trying to build, Raymond? It's a J pole or something? Just a little fun fact. You build a 2-meter quarter wave antenna. It is 3/4 waves at UHF. So all your 19-inch 2-meter quarter wave antenna is a 3/4 wave antenna on 440. There's your dual band antenna. Something really quick and simple. If that's all you have, and you need to get on UHF real quick with your dual bander, simple 19-inch vertical antenna will get you on both bands.
The no code tech says he's framing out a new shack. Very cool.
Nice.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting.
That's the way I did this.
Yeah, I remember you did that. What's it been, a year and a half or so now, or maybe 2 years? Time flies.
Time flies. It's been. I'll have to look at the photos in my phone.
It can't be more than 2 years because you were
it's been a while.
Cutting. Troy says my first bass radio ever arrived last night. Planning on playing with it all weekend. So Troy, listen, or go and jump into something before then. But tomorrow we'd love to hear about that on our HF net. And we have a net Sundays at 7:00 Central on HF.
Assuming he got an HF net or HF radio.
That's true.
He could have got a VHF UHF. Let us know, Troy. What was it, HF or VHF UHF?
Let us know. We got a new segment for you here. Oh, I wonder if I could do that. That would be fun. I don't think I'm fast enough. I can't do it. Can't do it. There we go. Have it, need it. So, Steve went to the market, or maybe he didn't go to the market proper. He went to the big box store. And so this is a segment we're going to get you involved in as well. It's kind of need it, have it, need it kind of deal. And we look around and we see cool things that are happening in our life that maybe you found a cool app. I don't know. Maybe it helps you spot something. Maybe you found a cool website or a new company out there that's pleasing to you. A new website helps you calculate your wire antenna measurements, things like that, or a new product. So Steve comes right in off the bat, off the heels of the coax conversation, and he's going to show us what he found. So let me go ahead and I'll take this off, and I will show show you on the full screen, and he will describe it, of course, for our radio listeners. But what did you come up with?
Well, so last week we talked about coax and, through the conversation, and this week we talk about connectors. Now, how do we weatherproof everything? So being in the professional world, I use a lot of this butyl tape. And this stuff is really good for sealing stuff up, but not everybody has access to it. Well, I come to find that DX Engineering has weatherproofing kits, but I just found that just today. But I went down to our local Home Depot, and it was so here we are. We're working on our antenna system, and it was like, oh geez, I gotta seal this up before I hang it up in the air. And where can I go to get something pretty quick or readily available to all of us? So I just happened to go to Home Depot after last week's show to pick up a bunch of other items, and I was in the electrical department. I was like, oh yeah. And so we talked about 33 tape, 88 tape, and then I talked about 37 tape. Now this is 37 tape is what I use at work. It's pretty much it's like 88 tape, just a tad bit thicker. It's 8.5 mils versus 8 mils on Scotch 88. So I picked up a roll of Scotch 88 tape. Or you can get 33 tape. So I prefer the 88 because it's 8 mils thick versus 7 mils on the 33 tape. I mean, 1 mil. If you're going to do this, do it right. Well, the other thing I found is this Scotch 2228. Now this the 88 was about $4.50 approximately. This was around $9.99, and it's a 10-foot roll. It's a mastic, and so it comes in this 10-foot roll, and then here's it's I don't know, about 1.5 inches wide or something like that, and it's a mastic tape. It has a little bit of a stickiness to it, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to my beam antenna, the 1/2-inch feed line, and the replacement antenna is going to be sealed up with this. I'm not going to use the mastic on this installation because I want to see how well it works. So if you want to seal up your antenna connections, I would say let's go with the, let's turn it around here, the 2228 and some 88 tape, and you'll be good to go. And we can talk about how to do it. The first layer down, then the mastic on top of it, and then 3 layers of 88 over that, and away you go. One other thing, you can go and put this mastic or this butyl tape on your connector, and it'll be fine, and not put the vinyl tape over it. But I discourage you from doing that. The reason why? Birds like to pick at this stuff, and they, for some reason, they don't touch the vinyl tape or the 88 or but for some reason when they like to pick on this soft gooey stuff. I don't know if they want to use it for their nests or kind of clean their colon out with it, or who knows. But if you're gonna
health for birds, that's a good.
It could be their deal, and so if you're going to put up any butyl or mastic, at least cover it up with some tape there, and the birds won't be picking at it. I was surprised to find out about that, and it was like, wow, good thing I cover it all up. So, so that's what I found last week.
Very good. Well, thank you for that. The need it, have it. I want to share something with you before we go. Just want to go over to share our YouTube channel there. It's a slow grow. I'm a gardener, so I'm completely cool with that. You can check and see right now. We're live. It's letting you know live. We've been doing the live show here for at least I feel like it's been a month. But go ahead over there, subscribe to that if you'd like to see the show. We're doing the content now where you can actually see it. We're talking about coax. We're talking about connectors. You can see that if you listen to the show on the podcast, you can now go back and see it and review it. That's very helpful. So I'm glad you're enjoying that. We will announce next week. There you go. There's some things going on. There's me and Steve-O. There's last week's Coax show. You can check that out. And that'll be cool. All right. Subscribe where you get podcasts, and then subscribe. If I can find the cursor, you can subscribe on the YouTube as well. Just a few more minutes before we wrap up. Steve's got a ton of stuff to do. You can drop your questions. Hopefully you put your call sign in the chat. If you're just joining us, we're giving away a dipole for 40 meters. You could cut it down. Ballon insulators. You put it together yourself. We want to hear you on the air with it. That'd be kind of cool. So if you put your call sign in the chat today, one of my children will pick randomly a winner. We'll do that over the course of the next 12 weeks. And I think that's it. You can contact us if you'd like to. And like, what are we going to get into next week? My next project that I probably want to talk about is I've decided I'm going to rack up my portable radio. Now, I know it's not something you'd take up, on the mountaintop, but basically for driving to activate, to be portable, I enjoy the rack mount. You can tell I'm a audio broadcast guy. I love the racks. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Steve, I hope you'll take some pictures while you're up there in the tower.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get you started there. I'm so curious. I hope to see an influx of text messages coming my way, and we can share some of those next week. Be careful up there, man. I sometimes I just know that you're above 80 or 100 feet, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know, but I know you're safe and always on that side. But definitely be careful up there. We have a couple, about a minute here. I wanted to get out and get everybody going, but you heard a story about safety that's probably worth taking a couple minutes to mention it, and
Yes.
At least we tell you today instead of holding it over. See if you can tell that in a couple minutes, Steve, and then we'll wrap up and let you get out in the field.
Okay. So last week, Dave, W7UUU, he's a moderator on QRZ, had a fire. So he has a similar setup that I have, an outbuilding or my shop where my shack is. Well, he ended up he had a fire, and the cause of the fire was one of these, the variable power strip that has the MOVs in them. It's an older power strip. He figures his was either 10 to 20 years old, and the MOV caught fire and burnt down his, damaged his shack. He lost a lot of Heath kits. He was a restorer, and he lost a lot of his equipment. So I saw that, and the firefighter in me went, "Oh, geez!" And so I'm on a mission to get rid of all these in the shack, in the house, and go with metal ones, and hopefully ones with non MOVs in it. And an MOV is basically a surge device, and we can get into that a little later. But if you want to find out more about it, just go to the QRZ forums, and Dave has pictures and the story, and you'll just be heartbroken. And but the best thing about the whole thing out of this is, A, no one got hurt, and B, this is a learning lesson that we can all share and go from there. So yes, I'm on a mission now to get rid of these. I might be maybe building our own power distribution things. There's a few guys put in a couple ideas, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe for the ham ingenuity, let's maybe do something there, and I'll have to come up with something like that. But yeah, go through your house, and if you got old ones of these, if they're more than 5 years old, I'd get rid of them. Get new ones. They do make metal encased power strips. Yes, you're going to pay more, and if you can find one without MOVs, go for it. And so just think about your family.
Was it W7UUU?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, look for that on QRZ and read that story. Yeah, we don't want to freak anybody out, but it's best to be safe. And when you learn these things, it's good, because I probably have one of those. In fact, I know I do. I know I have.
Got them on my workbench. I got them underneath here, under my bench, my shack here, and it's like, oh God, it's going. They're
got
going.
2 good ones and 2 bad ones according to this, and we should put that back on our docket for next week to kind of maybe show those and talk about that a little more detail. But guys, go read that story on QRZ. W7 United lost quite a bit because of his power strips, and he outlines it there for you. All right, we're going to leave it there, friends. Thank you all so much for joining. Winner will be selected by those who put their call sign in the chat. Appreciate you listening. It's Halloween. Stay safe. I know it's so different and wacky. We can't get out and do the things that we want to do right now, but one day soon, I hope we will be able to. Good time to do some antenna work if you're, if you're 6 inches deep in the snow, or maybe you got a nice day. It's always a good day to get out there and work, but just be safe. Steve, can't wait to see what you're working on. That's really exciting. So 73 to you. Appreciate you and all our listeners around the world. We had so many people join us today from around the world. It's a great time to be alive. So stay alive, everybody. Cue the Bee Gees and, or maybe not. Don't do that. 73 for now.
73, everyone.
By all means, please try and stay above the noise.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.